speakers. We are going to be covering a multitude of topics today. We want your participation, your input. So if you have questions, don't hesitate to interrupt us as we're going through. We'll be happy to, answer all that. We're going to be doing some scenarios. We have some samples for you. So lots of information today. Please help yourself to coffee and donuts in the back. There's soda and water as well. We're going to be doing lunch between 12 and 12:30. And then we hope to wrap everything up by 3 o'clock this afternoon, okay?
And if you haven't already found them, the restrooms are through that door.
Yep. So just to get us started, we're going to do some introductions this morning of the HR team, and I've asked them all to come up. I'm Heidi Mull. I'm the HR generalist. I have the central area of our region, so like Berks County, Chester County, parts of Lancaster County. I recognize some faces, some are new, but welcome everyone. And I'm going to hand the microphone off.
Good morning, I'm Daira. I'm from the East area. I have Montgomery, all that area, some in the Lincoln High. I see some faces that I already talked to or visit some of the stores. Welcome. Please feel free to have fun, to enjoy the day, and to ask us any questions you want. Thanks for being here.
Hey, good morning. My name is Chris. I'm your recruiter, talent acquisition partner. I'm going to have to resist the urge all day to not act like a game show host. This is a lot of fun. I provide support to all of you in your hiring process, your people, hang-ups, advertising, everything about helping you to build the best team that you can. We'll talk a little bit about that today. There's a lot that goes into that. We'll be top level today, but there'll be some additional classes and sessions helping you tools, interviews, all kinds of stuff. But I really appreciate you taking the time to come in today, and it's a pleasure to meet all of you at once.
It's on. No, it's already.
Hi, my name is Ileana. I'm an HR generalist from Harrisburg area. I cover areas all the way from Colonial Park to Hampton, Hanover, Shrewsbury, Chambersburg, or York. So I see a lot of familiar faces. Welcome. I'm glad you were able to make it and have fun.
Hello, my name is Melissa Jarrett, and I am the Human Resources Director, and I have the pleasure of leading this team. And I just wanted to extend my welcome to all of you and congratulations to promotions. And want you to just know that this is for you. And when we asked for feedback, this is our first iteration of this training, maybe second, let's just say second. And we are looking to improve upon and to get the information that you need. So when we ask for your feedback, we really mean it and we want it, and don't feel like you're being mean or you really shouldn't say anything. Maybe it's just about me. Say whatever you need to say. And as Heidi started, this is interactive. This isn't us talking at you. This is you having an opportunity to ask questions and learn an environment with your peers. So welcome and enjoy your day.
Well, let's do it being the first person from training up here. Hi, I'm Caitlin Buckwalter. I'm a learning and org development specialist. I help the learning team. My specific focus is usually on internal communications, so I'm the one who shares all the fun stories that scroll across your monitors in your break rooms. That's me. So that's what most people know, at least in terms of the stuff that I've created. I've created a lot more than that, but that's what most people know about. I'm excited to be here. We're here to listen and observe as we are currently in the process of rebooting our onboarding, especially our e-learning as part of the onboarding process. So we're here to watch, to observe, to absorb, and to also support the efforts to continue to make this training better.
I am Rachel Presner. I'm also on our learning team. I help to run our Good Points program. I help to run our Funding for Continuing Education program. I'll be talking about both of those a little bit more today, and looking forward to getting to be here for this training.
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel Shaw. I'm the Director of Learning and Organizational Development, which is a mouthful for first thing in the morning. So I basically do the training and the growth opportunities that you guys see hitting your emails and the flyers in the stores. So like Caitlin and Rachel mentioned, Good Points is one of the programs that we run. We also do the TV monitors, IDPs. and the survey coming soon. So keep an eye out for some emails on that. I'm going to turn it back over to Heidi, who's going to get you guys started.
Rachel, sorry, sorry, technical issue. Did I turn this off? Sorry, technical difficulties.
Okay, we're going to do introductions real quick so you guys can get to know each other. So you just heard us introduce ourselves. So if you want to just say your name, your store, and how long you've been with Goodwill, you get the pleasure of starting.
Hello everybody, I'm Heather Lovett. I am newly promoted to the photo ID manager. I've been with Goodwill for 8 years I'm with business services. So I've been with Goodwill for 8 years. I was at our Letterkenny location as the assistant project manager before. And now I'm new to the photo ID, so I'm all learning as the manager. Wonderful.
Good morning, my name is Nancy. I've been with Goodwill for a year. It was Lord. I am production manager.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name's Brenda. I work at the Thorndale store for right now. I have been promoted to a CSM for the new Downingtown store that we're opening, I think the 13th. So, yay. And so we'll see how that goes, and I'm sure it's going to work out fine.
I know it's going to work out.
All right. My name's Charlie Ebinger. Thorndale store was just promoted to CSM. I've been with the company for about a year.
Hi everyone, I'm Bree Kessler. I am the store manager for Hampton, and I've been with the company soon on my year anniversary.
Wonderful.
Hi, I'm Kaylee. I'm the CSM. I've been with Goodwill for about 6 months, give or take, but I'm loving it.
I'm Heather Brooks. I work at the Warminster Goodwill. I've been with Goodwill for 3 years, and I'm a customer service coordinator.
I'm Seth Dollinger. I'm the e-commerce manager at Middletown, and I'm in year 10.
My name's Bree. I recruited as a CSM, and I've been here for about 6 weeks.
My name is Avery. I'm the production manager for Montgomeryville. I've been with the company for 5 months.
Hi, I'm Ronnie Nace. I'm the manager of the clubhouse in Allentown, and I've been in that role since November of last year, coming up on my first year.
I'm Nathan Holtinger. I'm with York Route 30, going on 2 years, and I was just recently promoted to customer service manager.
Hi, I'm Nick Rappoltz. I recently got promoted to production manager at the East Earl store.
I'm Gabby from Lebanon, and I'm a customer service manager.
I'm DJ. I'm the CSM at Morgantown. I've been with the company for 3 years.
Jasmine Bunis, customer service manager for Shillington.
Becky Elwood from Shrewsbury, yes, for 19 years.
Nathan DiCento, customer service manager, Shrewsbury, 13 years.
I'm Alexa from Morgantown, and I'm the CSM, and I've been there about 90 days this go around.
I'm Brittany, I'm from Salisbury store. I'm CSM, I've been there going on a year next month.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ryan Free. I'm the production manager at Phoenixville. I've been with Goodwill about a year.
Hi, my name is Ryan Schenkel. I am the customer service manager at Phoenixville. I've been with the company since March of 2024.
My name is Monica. I'm from Goodwill East. I'm production manager.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Francis Santiago, and I'm the customer service from Montgomery West. I've been with the company a year.
I'm Jen. I'm on the Hanover store. I'm customer service manager. I've been there a year and a half.
My name is Misty. I'm from the Hanover store. I'm the customer service manager, and I've been there almost 2 years.
I'm Alicia. I'm the production manager at the Liquortown store, and I've been here 3.5 years.
Good morning, my name is Hannah. I've been in the customer service manager role for a month. I love the time.
Hi, I'm Pam. I'm shop Goodwill in St. Lawrence. I've been with Goodwill for 14 years.
Hi, I'm Tom McBurnham. I'm the store manager. I've been there 5 weeks.
I'm Carrie from the Lewisburg store. I'm a CSM, and I've been with the company about 2 months.
Good morning, my name is Alicia, and I work at the Lewisburg store with Carrie, and I'm also a CSM, and I've been with the company for about 2 years now.
I'm Jay Martin.
I'm Jessica Monche. I am the CSM for the Tillman store, and I've been there for almost 2 months. I'm Rosie Pava. I'm the CSM for Whitehall. Yesterday was my 5th year anniversary. Wonderful.
I'm David, CSM for dalke. I've been there 2.5 years.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys for all introducing yourselves. I heard a lot of people say the word promotion. Just out of curiosity, if you're in this room right now because you were promoted to a position recently and now you're getting this training for the first time, can you raise your hand? That is absolutely amazing. Take a look around the room right now. See how many hands are raised. People that have just recently joined the company, I hope this really enlivens you and it goes to show how much we really dedicate ourselves to growth here at Goodwill. So that's so heartening to see. But I'm going to turn it back over to Heidi.
Yep, I'm going to, as I'm working on the technical issues, I'm going to get started. Sorry, I'm so not used to using a microphone. I'm so not used to using a microphone because I'm loud naturally. Welcome again, everyone. It's great to see the diversity of our tenure here. We have some people here just a couple of weeks. Some people have been here for several years. That's fantastic. So we are excited to have you in our HR training today. And this is going to provide you with essential information and resources to help you excel in your new role. This orientation is going to cover topics related to our company policies, leadership expectations, team management, and more. This training is open to all levels of management in all departments. During this session, you will have the opportunity to gain insights into your role and responsibilities as a manager, understand our company's culture, values, and vision, learn about key HR policies and tools to manage your team effectively, and ask questions and clarify any doubts with our HR team. So again, like I stated earlier, we want this to be interactive, so if something is confusing or you're not understanding or you need clarification, please just raise your hand. We'll answer your questions as we go through. No need to wait for the end or for a break to ask those questions.
right, round of applause for Heidi because it's not fun to have to do this.
So who's who in human resources and risk management? This is a handout that we put on your desk, and you can reference that. I'm not going to pull the sheet up for you, but just to give you some ideas, the roles and responsibilities of all managers in the HR function. So our senior management and executive leadership, they're the ones who are setting the expectations for our strategic direction. Senior management is going to be defining the organization's HR strategies and objectives aligned with overall business goals. They're providing the resources. They allocate resources such as budget, personnel, and technology to support HR initiatives. Ensuring compliance. Senior leaders establish policies and procedures to ensure compliance with employment laws and regulations. And they set our culture and values. They promote a positive workplace culture and reinforce organizational values through their actions and decisions. Our directors of human resources, benefits and compensation, and organizational development. They're overseeing all of our operations. These directors oversee all ER, HR, and development functions, including recruitment, onboarding, training, performance management, compensation, benefits, and human resources. I'm sorry. Still having, there we go. And they're going to be the ones who do the policy development, talent management, and employee engagement for our teams. Our managers and supervisors in HR, they're the ones who are implementing policies, doing employment development, performance management, human resources. They're handling the day-to-day performance evaluation, setting goals, address performance issues in collaboration with HR. Daily operations, you're the ones who are overseeing the daily operations of your teams, including scheduling, task assignment, and workload management. Communication, you're providing communication with your employees and upper management, conveying information, providing feedback, and addressing concerns. You're dealing with conflict resolution. You're addressing interpersonal conflicts and other issues that may arise within your teams, promoting a positive and cohesive work environment. And you're supporting development. You're providing support, guidance, and mentorship to team members to help them succeed in their roles and achieve their career goals. Overall, managers at all levels play a crucial role in all HR functions, from setting strategic direction and ensuring compliance to fostering employee engagement and development. Collaboration between HR professionals and managers is essential for creating a positive workplace culture and achieving organizational success. So the who's who in human resources is our director, our VP of Human Resources and Risk Management is Dawn Diver. Christy Williams is our Director of Benefits and Compensation. Melissa, who you met earlier, is our Director of Human Resources. And Dyra, Yelena, myself, and Chris report directly to Melissa. Gail Burkhart is the administrative assistant. She is our backbone. She does a lot of the behind-the-scenes work for HR. Michelle Topper is our HRIS manager, and Ben Proctor is our HRIS specialist. All right, bonus question. Can anyone tell me what HRIS stands for? Anyone? Human Resources Information Systems. So that's our paycom, our back end, all the things that we do, payroll, things like that. That's HRIS, right? So, if you turn over onto the back page of that, Wendy, email HR paperwork. This is important information. So, if you have issues with start date changes, first day no-shows, cell phone boarding, invite updates, ESS password resets, PTO payout requests, child abuse clearance results and receipts, training onboarding, work permits and parent acknowledgement forms, and Paycom client manager side password resets. All you have to do is send an email to HR paperwork, and they'll help you get that fixed. So Rachel, you met Rachel Shaw and Rachel Presner and Caitlin. They are our learning and development team. And then for risk management, we have Terry Meitzel and Scott, excuse me, Scott Shank. Terry is our regional safety coordinator. Scott is our Terry's our regional safety manager. Scott is our regional safety coordinator. And Tom Garrigan is our workers' comp admin. The next sheet you have for your resources is an HR contact sheet. This is our coverage list. So this is who's who and where are we. So we do travel around our organization quite frequently. So we may not always be in the office when you need us. And if we are on PTO or out of the office due to a training or doing an investigation at a location or just even doing a visit and you have something urgent come up, our contact information is here. Email is always preferred method, but if you do need us, our cell phones are listed here as well. This is Michelle Topper, and this is Ben Proctor. There are additional members of our HR team. Sure. Did you want to use the mic?
Hello, I'm Ben Proctor. I'm the HRIS specialist.
How long have you been here?
I've been here almost 90 days. This is my supervisor, Michelle.
Hi, we are the faces behind HR paperwork.
What do you do?
All things related to Paycom. I'm on 4.5 years. Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for being here.
So you'll see that Dyra, Elena, and myself, we each have our regions. So like we said earlier, Dyra's in the east, I'm in the central, Elena's in the western. But we do cover for each other, and Chris is our backup as well. If there are urgent situations that pop up, while one of us is out of the office, you can always reach out to one of the others. Worst case scenario, if all three of us are unavailable, like today, where we are all in training, the management team would reach out to Melissa directly. And we're gone. And then higher level items. So we handle the store. So all from production managers down. That's who the generalists work with regards to discipline, issues, investigations. Now, if there's an issue involving a store manager, that'll be elevated to Melissa, okay? Because she oversees all the RDDs, all the store managers, finance, IT, marketing, mission management, business services management, and risk management and safety, okay? But if you have any questions about that, please use this for reference. This information and the who's who in HR and risk management is all on good links. And so you can access it there too if you ever misplace your paper documentation. So we're going to move on to Yelena next. We are going to do a handbook review, and Yelena's going to get that started.
Well, hello again. I'm so glad Heidi mentioned that I covered Western region because of horrible distraction. I had no idea that I was Western. Sorry. So, all right. So I'm gonna go over some fun stuff. Don't fall asleep, please. But I'm gonna make it as fun as possible. So the first policy we're gonna go over is code of ethics. Code of ethics asks that Goodwill employees represent themselves with dignity and respect, conduct themselves in professional manner. As you are not only representing yourself, but you're also representing Goodwill as the agency. With that policy, there are certain guidelines that we ask that employees are to follow. The first thing that it covers is confidentiality. Confidentiality is important because not only will you as management will be coming across confidential information pertaining to your employees, that could be your onboarding, social security, and driver license, to having a global crew with clients coming up to your store, and the client might disclose some confidential information pertaining to them because you need to know in order for you to properly accommodate while they're at the store, that you are not supposed to share that information and keep it confidential. The employees should only be have access to confidential information in order for them to be able to do their job, to perform their job. Anything outside that, they should not be privy to. Conflict of interest can exist in many forms. The activities that are prohibited within the Goodwill Keystone area are dual relationship, and it pertains mostly to the mission service and business services. However, you will have, like I mentioned, clients coming into your store. Their prohibited activities between employee clients is if you are related directly to the client, you know the client's parents, you're friends with your clients, and that could be employees too, but mostly to the clients. You are not allowed to supervise that client in direct supervision. Okay. The other prohibited activities between employees and clients is the sexual intimate relationship. You're not allowed to have those kind of relationships between employees and clients. Okay, they're here for us to serve them, train them, and teach them on how to conduct themselves in a community. So we are to be asked to lead by example. Okay. Monetary gifts and gratuities are not acceptable. We are not allowed to accept any gifts in excess of $25 are not allowed to be accepted. Anything below that in the form of customer brings cookies to the store, cake, those kind of things, as long as you bring it to the back and share it with the rest of the employees, that is perfectly fine. Okay, don't take it home. Okay. Personal property. That is, what we ask is that you don't bring personal property at value. Don't bring your Louis Vuittons to the store. We're at least we encourage you not to, okay? Because if it's stolen, it is waste. We are not going to replace it. It's just the way it is. If you're going to bring it to the store, bring it at your own risk. Okay? Any company property that belongs to Goodwill, such as company supplies, equipment, that is Goodwill property. Donations, anything that Goodwill purchases is Goodwill property. Therefore, you're not allowed to take it. Any allegations about code of ethics violation will be investigated, should be reported to Human Resources, and will be investigated within 15 days. As I mentioned, as supervisors and managers, we ask that you lead by example. So if you are holding your employees accountable for something, make sure that you are holding yourself accountable for the same thing. You can't expect your employees to follow policies. You yourself are not following those same policies, right? Leading by example. Any violation of any policy, literally, because we ask for employees to conduct themselves in a professional manner, be a representative of Goodwill. Therefore, any policy violation would most likely be also a violation of Code of Ethics policy, which may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination. Okay? And I know you guys will have questions, hopefully. Therefore, write them down. We're going to have a room at the end to go over any questions that you might have. Okay? Attendance policy. All right. We are not at the point system yet. The point system has not been implemented at this time. It was supposed to go out July 1st. Due to some pay-com complications, it is not in effect yet. Okay, so the policy that I'm going to go over today is the current attendance policy that we are holding our employees accountable to. Okay, so attendance policy. We, as employer, understand that everybody have a life, right? We all have things that we deal with outside of work, and all of us need time off outside of work. The more notice we are given as a supervisor, the better chances we can accommodate that request. Okay, we are not holding it hostage, but business needs to come first when you are working for the employer, right? So when the employee is calling off, they need to call off within the first hour or prior to the 1 hour of their start time. That's what the general policy says. You as a supervisor, as long as you are all on the same page, all supervisors on the same page and consistent, you can ask your employees to call 2 hours or 1 hour before the start of the shift. But it needs to be implemented and communicated effectively to all of your staff, okay? Not selectively. If you are going to say that, everybody have to be held accountable to the same standards. And also you as a management, because there's going to be more than one of you at the store, make sure that all of you are on the same page when you're making this communication. You can't have one manager say one thing and the other one come back and say something different. That is very confusing to the employee, and it's going to be really hard for you to hold that employee accountable when the message is not the same, right? If the employee does not call or show up for work, that's considered to be an unexcused absence. If the employee does not call or show up for work for 3 consecutive scheduled shifts, that is considered as voluntary resignation, job abandonment. Okay. So if somebody abandoned their job because there were no call, no show for 3 consecutive days, when you submit the termination through pay-com, make sure you indicate that that was termination for job abandonment, and under comments, you want to indicate that there were no call or show for this date, and this date. That's what we are looking for. So if you see the PAF forms coming back to you, probably that was the information that we did not know, right? And make sure that you communicate that to the where's Heidi? She was supposed to be clicking. Christopher! She wasn't. Heidi left me.
You need a new slide here.
Yeah, you offered, so I called.
And we will lose.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes.
Anytime the person calls, so they have to and must use their PTO time. It is not an option, okay? The best way, the proper way to request PTO time is putting the PTO request through the pay-com prior to the scheduled meeting, right? That's what we are asking for. If that was not done and the schedule was already made, if the person calls off the day that they're on a schedule, that's an unexcused, that's going to be a UPTO, right? And this is when you start marking employees for attendance issues. Does not mean that you will need to start with the corrective action, but if they're on a schedule and they're calling off the same day that they're scheduled, this is your coverage situation, right? That's where you run into issues. So that's an attendance issue that you're going to start marking it down, okay? And counting your UPTO days, because there's only 5 that is allowed per 1 year, right? All right. So any absences of 3 or up to 3 days, you may be asking your employee for a doctor's note. You can do that. Any absences in 5 days or more, you're required to ask employees for doctor's note, okay? Employees do need to call off and speak directly to the supervisor each day they're not coming into work, okay? They can't call one day and be off for a week. That's not gonna work because we don't know that, right? They need to call and let you know. They need to keep you updated. So if they called off on Monday, but they didn't call off on Tuesday, assuming that you know that they're not gonna show up, that's an unexcused absence, no call, no show, right? The only time that you count a no call, no show as no call, no show is if you had no communication whatsoever with that employee. If you reached out to this employee and they responded, that's no longer a no call, no show because you had a communication with that employee, okay? Any call-offs, when somebody's calling off and passing messages through a friend, a coworker, or having a family member calling off is not acceptable, okay? They need to speak directly to the supervisor. They need to call and speak directly to you. However, if it's, again, consistently applied and you're saying to your employees it's okay to leave a message, then it's okay, as long as it's okay for everybody and as long as it's clear that it's okay for them to leave a message. It could be consequences where they're called off way too ahead of time, which is good, right? But at least you know when you come into work. All right, employee purchase policy. All employees are eligible for 30% off discount at any of our stores, which is a good thing, right? Exciting stuff. However, with that policy and that 30% discount comes in some rules that needs to be followed by all the employees. Okay, the only items that employees are allowed to purchase are the items that are on the sales floor and available both to the employees and the customers, where they have the same access to those items. The only time that employees are able to shop are only when they're off the clock, okay? The only exception would be is if they are purchasing food items, they can shop on their breaks or lunchtime. Employees are not allowed to shop at the store that they are assigned to. So if you are assigned to a store location and this is your store, you're not allowed to shop there. Again, food items are the only exception to that rules. Or if there is an announced shopping day, right? That's the only time that employees are allowed to shop at their stores, only on a break time and during lunch or after working hours, okay? So, I'm not assigned to your store. Let's say I'm coming for a visit to Camden location. Yay, I'm coming. And am I allowed to shop at your store while I'm there for a visit? Anybody?
No.
No? No, that's right. The answer is no. Just because I don't have a specific store that I'm assigned to and I'm assigned to multiple locations, it does not mean that I can shop at the store that I'm visiting. If I'm visiting your store for the day, that means I'm assigned to your store for that day. I'm not allowed to shop. So if I'm shopping, I'm violating your policy. Keep an eye on me. No. No. How are we doing so far? Everybody's good?
Quiet. No questions?
Making sense? Any questions, maybe? Okay.
A couple of months ago, we were very short on merchandise processors, and we had a merchandise processor from another store come over to our store to work for a couple of days. Was she allowed to shop at our store?
No, she was assigned to your store at that time.
What about like the day afterwards? Then she's okay?
Yes.
Okay.
As long as she's no longer working and helping at your store, she's okay. You had a question?
So we have a utility associate. He has learning disabilities, so he has someone who is assigned to him to help him through his workday with us. Since technically the utility associate is our employee and his helper is the extension of him, is his helper allowed to shop at our store while the associate is working?
No.
Thank you.
No, and if they're from another organization, then you should be notifying their organization because they're not there to shop, they're here to, they're working and they're there to assist their employee.
Okay.
They're out, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a big argument.
Okay. No. Don't do it. Employees are not allowed to ask other co-workers to mark the merchandise and bring them on site and put them out on the sales floor while they're waiting for them to come out. That's not how it works, right? So, right. So, employees who are working at the DC sites, like warehouses, with the outlets attached, they are not allowed to shop at the attached outlet because that's still at the same location, okay? Again, just the exception.
So just for an example, I work at St. Lawrence. My office is at St. Lawrence. I can't shop at the outlet ever unless it's an employee shopping day. Okay?
So, leading by example, we are having, not we just doing 1 second. Yep, so same thing. The same rules apply to us. If we are asking you to uphold to those rules, we are also expected to follow those same rules. Go ahead, you have.
So my question actually is, what if the truck driver, let's say our truck driver comes, who's assigned to drop off the truck for the day, are they allowed to shop?
No.
Good to know, thank you.
They're assigned to that location. Go ahead.
All right, I have a gray area question. So me, what if I am visiting a store as clubhouse manager and I see an item in the store that I would want to purchase not for my own personal needs, but because I think it's something that we could use at the clubhouse?
Okay, so as long as you
it's still under that goodwill umbrella.
No, not necessarily. If it's for business use,
Right.
if you if you clearly explain that this is for business purchase and use for the people that we serve, you are, in some circumstances, you will be able to purchase that item because you are there to, now, again, make sure that it comes back to the clubhouse, right? Yeah, so, go ahead.
What if it's someone that's part of like the community service program and they're coming for like 1 day to do their community service? Would they be able to shop since they're not actually employees?
They're all, would be falling under the same category as that person assisting utility associate to work. If they're there to work and to use a service, they should be applied, the policies would apply to them as well. You should be upholding the responsible for the same. But make sure that they understand what that is, okay? Right. And because if they're just there for the day and nobody told them what the policies are, then they would not, not
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, one more question, and then we're gonna, if you have any additional, we will move to the end, okay? Go ahead.
For the, in addition to community service, are they allowed to shop on the days that they're not there, but they still need 3 more hours, or do they have to wait until the community hours are finished to begin shopping?
They need to wait. If they're there in participating in that program, they should be waiting until that program is done. Up until then, there should be, the policy would apply to them. They should be upheld to the same standards. Any additional questions, please write them down, and we will be more than happy to answer them at the end. We will have time to take more questions. And I'm glad you have them, so I'm so happy that you guys are participating. That's very exciting. Okay. Having a team member purchasing an item for another employee or asking a team member to purchase them is against the policy. Having a customer, friend, purchasing any items in behalf of that team member is also violation of the policy. You're basically working the system, right? You're still purchasing that item that you want, but you just have somebody else, put somebody else in trouble and to have a purchase for you. So you don't want to do that. Any merchandise that is purchased by the employee at the store must be rung up by the member of the leadership. Okay? Some of the prohibited activities are that may result in termination is theft of merchandise. So some of the examples of the theft of merchandise is sweetheart deals. All employees give, where employee gives away the merchandise. Under bringing an employee under charges or only brings up some of the items purchased. Markdown, an employee reduces the established price of merchandise. Some of the other examples would be items received as damaged markdown, but the items are not damaged. Items receive an employee discount, but they're not eligible for the employee discount. That would be family members who are not eligible because only employees are eligible for 30% discount. Family members cannot claim that their employees relative, therefore they're demanding the 30% discount. That does not work, right? Items that are sold as salvage, not allowed to do that. Also pertaining to the employee purchase policy, employees are not allowed to take salvage or what they might consider trash. It is still a goodwill property, therefore there should not be taken down. Okay? Shopper received a promotion discount that was not allowed due to rules. Employee receives an employee discount when the supervisor or the manager is off duty. Remember, all the merchandise must be processed by or run out by the management. Price switch, container switch, no sale. An employee rings out no sale and takes the cash or doesn't close the drawer all the way. Refund or exchange fraud, void fraud, failure to record, deposit safe, special funds, staff taking money out of the donation cans, and so on. Theft of supplies or property, that would be the removal of purchase property by goodwill, business, office supplies, cleaning supplies, safety supplies, removal of goodwill, keystone area property such as donated items, salvage items, safety items, security equipment, tools, office equipment, and other appliances is not permitted. Any violation that falls under theft will most likely result in immediate termination. It will be investigated and found. That's most likely would be the outcome. The policies and the requirements that I went over in the beginning, depending on violation, it will be again will be investigated, and then the determination will be made of the outcome. Okay. All right. So purchase policy, good stuff, right? Hopefully, I clarified a few things for you. All right. So we're gonna move on to anti-harassment policy. Goodwill is trying to create an environment of mutual respect for employees who work in a safe environment and free of harassment in the workplace. Therefore, we have zero tolerance for any type of harassment. Some of the examples that of harassment would be sexual harassment. Sexual harassment does not have to be so obvious. It does not always mean inappropriate touching. It could be inappropriate comments, slurs. It could be inappropriate pictures, inappropriate texts, inappropriate words. They don't have to be direct. They don't, those comments. You could be having a discussion in a public area by the water fountain, and that discussion involves whatever fun you had over the weekends, and somebody walks by and they get offended by the comments made, okay? Because it was discussed in a public area and they got offended. That is a form of harassment, okay? So be careful. That's why we say you conduct yourself in a professional manner at all times, right? Because those kind of discussions should not be taken in the workplace. You don't know who you're going to offend at what time. We have donations coming in. People donate all kinds of stuff. I have walked into the stores on few occasions, And I saw some inappropriate stuff hanging in the offices, in the wares department where they're sorting donations. I saw t-shirts of naked men and women hanging in the office. I saw t-shirts with inappropriate verbiage hanging in the wall because people think it's kind of funny, right? But it's offensive to other people and inappropriate things to do as the manager, because you don't know who's going to come into that office or back area, who's going to visit that back room, or sometimes we have bathrooms in the back room. You don't know who's going to, if the customer is going to come in and see that. Please refrain from doing that, because what might be a fun thing to do with employees could be offensive to somebody else. Not everybody receives the message the same way. We have to be cognizant of that. We provide in private staff try to hold everybody equal and apply all of our policies and procedures in equal manner. We treat all our employees in equally and try to relay the message and make sure that we all treat each other consistently. Okay. We don't discriminate based on sex, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity, expression, age, disability, marital status, citizenship, national origin, genetic information, or any other characteristic pertaining to law. Retaliation is not acceptable. We have zero tolerance for retaliation. We encourage employees to report any perceived or what they feel could be a harassment. Any reports will be investigated within 15 days. If there is a retaliation against the employee who reported or who participated as part of the investigation, please let us know right away, because this is a serious violation and will be addressed as such. Okay? We want to encourage employees to come forward. We want to make sure that everybody is treated equally and with respect. And if there is something going on that is not supposed to be happening in the workplace, we ask that it's reported to us right away so we can handle it and address it in the same manner. And the person who is reporting it should not be feeling any kind of retaliatory effects of doing something that is the right thing to do. Okay? What do you guys think? Any questions about that? All right, I think I'm going to move on. Heidi, did I miss anything? Okay. Just making sure. Workplace violence and weapons. Not allowed at work. Don't bring them, okay? We try to provide the harassment-free and safe environment to all of our employees. We don't want our employees to come feared or threatened, any kind of threatening behavior or any kind of comments saying that you're going to injure somebody or hurt somebody is not acceptable. Okay? So violence in the workplace is not tolerated either. Just because you don't have a weapon does not mean you can threaten somebody. Okay? Examples of prohibited behaviors are intentionally injuring another person physically, engaging in a behavior that creates a reasonable fear of injury in another person, threatening, intimidating, provoking, or harassing and/or abusive behavior, including inappropriate language, engaging in a behavior that is subjects another person to extreme emotional distress, damaging, defacing, sabotaging, destroying a property belonging to organization, possession of dead weapons on organizational property. Any employee who contributes to any form of violence will be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. The organization will seek prosecution of all who engage in violation of on the violence on its premises. Procedures and guidance that you should be following is make sure each employee is aware of and understand what the policy is and where the appropriate emergency procedures to follow. Periodically review the emergency procedures with your employees, with your staff meeting. Make sure that you make that a subject and make sure everybody is aware. I believe there should be an emergency booklet in each location, so make sure where it's at and make sure that all of the employees know the location of that booklet. And if you're not sure, let us know. You're DM me. I see some faces. I'm not sure. That's okay, but just make sure that you do. And if you don't, make sure that you reach out so we can figure out. And if you need one, then one is provided for us. It's okay that you don't know, but it's okay for us to know so we can fix it. Okay. If an employee tells you about the behavior that appears unusual or could potentially lead to violence, you must take this seriously. As soon as possible, notify human resources. If the employee makes you aware of order of protection, notify human resources right away. Make sure the employee is aware who must be informed of this order, so they know that what the policy, what the next steps would be, who will be notified, so they're not surprised. But they're not obligated to disclose to the employer what exactly the protection order is for. Okay. In case there was a robbery or burglary, make sure that you reach out to human resources so we can offer proper counseling to the employee in that kind of situation. Any questions about that? Good? Okay. Drug-free workplace. Don't do drugs. All right. So, yes, we are drug-free work environment. We do not tolerate, we want all our employees to be safe. Therefore, for their employee safety and safety of others, we ask that employees do not come to work under the influence or use any alcohol or drugs at work while on a clock. What you do on your own time is your own business, okay? We don't dictate that. However, if you brought it to work and you come to work under the influence, then we made it our business and we will take appropriate actions. Any suspicion of the drug use or somebody being under the influence should be reported to the human resources right away. We have individuals who are trained in reasonable suspicion who will either guide you through proper observation to make sure there is no checklist is checked, or if depending on proximity, we'll come up with the store ourselves and do our own observation. So, but make sure that you let us know right away. But prior to even notification, make sure that you remove the employee from the work, the duties that they were performing, and make sure that they wait in the office or lunch area. Then you contact human resources. Okay. If need to be, they will send an employee for reasonable suspicion. We have, as an employee, have a right to do so. The unlawful manufacturing, distribution, dispensation, or possession of controlled substances on company premises or while conducting company business is absolutely prohibited. Employees who are convicted of a crime for drug or alcohol use while being employed with the agency should report that conviction to the organization as soon as possible. It does not mean that, not necessarily convicted, but if they got in trouble at that time and the conviction is pending, we should be put on notice so we can keep in touch and know what the outcome of that issue is. Okay. All right, so consequences if we are sending somebody for reasonable suspicion and they refuse to go, that will be treated the same as they testing positive and result in immediate dismissal. Okay? So you yourself should not be sending employee for reasonable suspicion. Just remove the employee from their work duties, contact human resources, and we will take over from there and guide you, provide you with guidance to get involved. Okay. Any questions about that? Go ahead.
Does this also include medical cards and prescriptions?
Medical cards is it includes as well, yes. Just because you have a medical card, you should not be using it at work. You're still under the influence and it still is unsafe for you or other employees. Go ahead, Tyra.
That's a great question. We just had one employee this past Sunday. He went to work, DSR, and he had a very strong odor of marijuana. So before he went to work, he he didn't disclose exactly what was the method. This difference, but he apologized. He said yes, he had a medical card. He felt that was okay because he's under the law, but he admitted using it before going to work. So you have to be very respectful, make the person feel very comfortable. Oh, you have a medical card, great. Because right there, if you start getting upset, disappointed, you are not going to get this in writing. You want a statement. Make sure that that person write it down. Oh, you have a medical card. That's excellent. I need to share this with HR and my team. And since you already informed that you have a medical card, that will be a key for this. And the person that don't know that they're not supposed to be using drugs prior to work is going to feel very comfortable in writing down, yes, I have a medical card, I smoke marijuana this morning. It's important that if you don't have any witness, that piece of paper is being done, be kind, be respectful, and then send them home. After that, because right there, you already have a statement, the person told you that yes, they did it, but since this happened and it was reported to us and you said that you used the marijuana before coming to work, let me just send you home until we complete the investigation. But be a good investigator.
Yeah, but don't, yes, you send them home, do not let them drive. If someone is suspected of being under the influence,
Somebody needs to pick them up.
yes, someone needs to come get them, get them an Uber, even have someone drive their vehicle home and have someone follow them to take them back to the store.
The same thing if you have a accident on a forklift, okay? And there is an injury to the employee or severe injury to the property, or not injury, the damage to the property. In some instances, we do send people for post-accident drug or an alcohol test. Make sure you notify me. I handle those notifications, or even if you have notified Dara or Hari, they will notify me. But make sure you notify your HR generalist. And in that instance, we also are not letting them drive for their custody side. If it's a post-accident, we want to make sure that they get there safely, and we ourselves will again drive them or provide them some kind of a form of transportation for that to that side.
Humphrey has a question.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just saying, what do we do if they don't give up their car keys? Like, do we call the cops if they start to drive away?
So we can only do so much. If we document and we have witnesses that we try to stop this employee from driving, and we do everything we could to stop him, I would just contact their emergency contact, okay, and let them know that this is what happened and that they insisted on driving. We tried to stop them, okay. That's what you want to do in that situation, and it will happen, okay. Yeah, medical. Prescriptions, no, if there is a medical prescription, we if they have to take medicine for their condition, that is a different thing. That is different than medical card. And I understand that some people will say that I'm taking, I have a medical card for medical condition. That is different, okay? This is still the medication, if it's keeping you from being, if you're not fit for duty, what we're asking is that you are fit for duty when you come to work. So if your medication that is prescribed to you is keeping you from that, then we will have to discuss if there is a reasonable accommodation and you should be at work while taking that medication, okay? So there's going to be further discussion. And there's a unique situation for each, so it should not be in general saying, okay, well, if you're on the medication, I'm not going to let you work. Don't do that, okay? Contact your RDD, contact HR generalist, let us discuss and see how we want to, what observations did you have, right? How is it preventing this individual from working? Are they safe? So those kind of discussions will be taking place. And possibly sometimes we have to consult with the doctor and explain to, talk to the employee and ask them if it's okay. We explain to them what kind of job that the employee performs, especially if they're performing job on a forklift. Do you really want that person on forklift while they're taking that kind of a medication? It's not to punish the employee, but to keep them safe, right? But it is different than a medical card.
One of the things I tell my managers and employees I've had discussions with regarding the drug-free workplace policy, you go out, it's a Friday night, you go out to drink with friends, you're scheduled for work at 8 o'clock in the morning, nothing after midnight. Anything you do the night before midnight, that's considered the prior day. Anything after midnight is considered that day. So any alcohol, any medical marijuana, that's considered use of a controlled substance the day of your shift, and that's a violation.
That is correct, Heidi. And a lot of times when we question an employee, they're convinced that they're going to do is wrong because the last drink or substance that they consumed was at 1 o'clock in the morning on their own time. But again, remember in the beginning I mentioned that what you do on your own time is fine, but now if you were scheduled at 8 to work and you drank at 1, you really drank on the day of your scheduled shift, right? So that is no, if you brought it to work, you still came under the influence to work, and that's how it's going to be addressed. Make sense? Okay, good. All right. Last of my part, I know you. I the voice didn't hear me, but I promise this is the last part. And then I'll let Heidi take over. All right, fun stuff, corrective actions. All right, so corrective action. One thing that I would like to stress to all of you is that what is the purpose of the corrective action? The purpose of the corrective action is correct employees' behavior and encourage them to improve. Okay, we are not, at the end of the day, we are not there here to set the employee for failure. We are here to make sure they are successful. If we don't address the inappropriate conduct or behavior, that means we're setting them up for failure and doing that employee injustice, okay? If we don't, that's a lack of communication, that's what we're looking at. What we want to do is we want to come to the employee saying, we understand, but I just wanted to make sure that you remember this is our policy, this is our business, and we're going to have to hold you accountable for it if it continues. And what do we do once we have that conversation? Anybody? Communication follow-up. I heard somebody say that. Use the electronic communication follow-up when we have that conversation, because what happens? If it's not documented, it did not happen, right? Go ahead, Tyler.
How many people did a communication already? The rest didn't do a communication yet in the new system? No? Okay, maybe 4. Oh, that's good. So
Good job.
That's good because now all of you are going to be able to learn today how to do that communication and why we do that. And please, this is not a hard thing to do because you're very good in what you're doing already. You telling them what to do, and we get intimidated when we go to in front of the computer to type it. Just remember, I'm a good talker. I love to talk. I'm doing it already, right, Nancy? Right. And then you just go into that computer. Please make sure that that's your voice. That's why I asked how many people didn't do it, because that's your voice now in paper.
Thank you, Darren. Now, if once you do the communication form, is everybody clear how it works and what to do next? Once you issue the form to the employer, where does it go? Does anybody know? Go ahead.
I believe it goes to HR paperwork.
Yes, it needs to be scanned to HR paperwork. Okay, so once you issue to the employee, thank you, and employee has signed off on it, you have to forward that communication form to HR paperwork to be uploaded in the Paycom. It's very important because if you haven't done it, it's not going to be in their file. Just because you know you issued it, it's floating somewhere out there, right? So you want to print it out, you want to issue it, and you want to make sure it's sent to HR paperwork. So Heidi, you want to try to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, just once you administer that communication follow-up, make sure of a couple things. The employee signs it, dates it, and you sign and date it. Okay? So not just the employee's signature on there, but when they signed it, and that you were there with them and administered it to them. Okay? Now, sorry if I missed your thunder a little bit, maybe.
Maybe it's so stop, not just.
Not yet, but coming soon. We're hoping within the next 3 to 6 months. That's going to be all moved to Paycom. So it's being worked on, and as soon as we have more information, obviously we're going to provide training and resources and all that for you. But we're hoping soon that Paycom is going to be able to absorb that, so you're not going to have to do a separate. It'll all be electronic. Okay.
Thank you. Actually, I wasn't going to say that. I forgot about that. Thank you. All right. So, did you have a question?
I just wanted to say that always have a witness, just in case. We always
Good idea. Absolutely.
have another
Always
supervisor
wanna
with
have-
you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. That's a good thing to know. And please share your experiences if you would like, what works for you. That's definitely is encouraged here. All right, so moving on, depending on the situation, steps could be skipped, okay? But in most situations, we ask that the progressive corrective action steps are followed, okay? So, like, for example, in attendance incident, if in that incident, you should be following progressive corrective action steps. If there is inappropriate conduct or serious violation, such as a misconduct or violence, drug abuse, the steps could be skipped. Depending on the violation, it could go to a written warning, it could go to a final warning, it could be a first and final, or it could be a termination, depending on that violation. But please make sure you reach out to Dyra, Heidi, myself, for guidance. We are not here to tell you what to do. What we are looking for is for you to reach out to us, have a discussion from the start, so we are involved together in what would be the best steps to take from the beginning and guide you or direct you in the right way. When you come to us, we ask that you come to us not just with the issue, but what are your recommendations? What do you think? What kind of steps should be taken? We were looking for your input because your input matters, okay? You're going to be the final person who's making the final decision. We are only here to provide guidance and make sure policies and procedures are followed while we will issue it, and it's applied consistently. That's what we are here for. So if you see us asking you those kind of questions, it's not to be picky, it's not to be challenging, it's about the fact that we want to know what you think. what is your input? You are the one who's working with those individuals. You know the individuals and your employees not the best. We might not even know the employee that you are talking about. Therefore, if we are just basing our recommendations or telling you what to do for say, based on the information you are giving us, okay, then that is not going to be fair to the employee. Therefore, your input does matter. Okay? All right. So the communication is the first thing you want to do. Don't wait too long. Every time you speak to the employee, talk to them. But if the communication is about the same issue, there should be only one, okay? Don't do, well, I talked to them on this day, I talked to them on that day. If you talk to someone and they have not changed, that means they really are not working with you on making that change. So you're just prolonging your own, I would say, challenges with that employee, so you're not even doing the justice to that employee or yourselves, okay? So working with this employee is one thing, but it has to be a two-side, right? So if you're working with them, they have to work with you. If this is not happening, then we need to move forward, right? So, yes, and don't wait too long, okay? Don't come to Dr. I myself, say, well, they are on 13th absence. I'm just sick and tired of this. I want them to be gone. That doesn't work that way, right? We are not doing that because it's not, if you haven't talked to their employee and waited until they're absent or called off 13 times and tolerated this without talking to this employee, you have not addressed that issue, and it's not fair to that employee because they're thinking it's acceptable because you have not had that conversation. And if you had that conversation, document it through the communication follow-up. If they're late once, if they called off twice, that should trigger some kind of a conversation, right? Don't wait until they're late or absent 13 times, okay? If the infraction is not for the same reason, it's okay to give more than one warning, a communication follow-up, if it's for different reasons, okay? If they have not improved and you spoke to them, then the verbal warning would be the next step. And again, in some incidents, that communication follow-up might be skipped. A lot of times I hear, well, they're within their 90 days, why can't I just terminate them, right? Because what we tell our employees, and should be telling us, our employees during the vacation, is that this is their time to get to know us, and for us to get to know them, is for us to make sure that they are properly trained, that they're clear of what our expectations are. We are communicating to the employees if the communication are not being met, and we're giving them a fair chance to improve their behavior. Because as I mentioned in the beginning, our goal is to make sure that we correct the behavior, not to accept employees up for failure. So if you come to me and saying, I would like to terminate this employee because of this, this, and this, I'm going to ask you, well, have you talked to this employee? Is there any documentation or corrective actions on file? If the answer is no, then I would recommend against it, because the first thing you should be doing is talking and communicating to your employees. You don't like when your employees don't communicate with you. They feel the same way if you don't communicate with them, right? So we want to give them a fair chance. If they have not improved and you give them the verbal warning, then the written warning is the next step. Okay? Don't wait too long between the time span between the first warning and second warning. If you give them a verbal warning and they called off 2 days later, that should be a written warning. If they call off again, that should be a final warning. And the next one would be a termination. If we follow those steps, then we will progress through progressive action. So I know people get tired and impatient because we have a lot of work to do and production numbers to meet. But if we don't follow the process and steps the way they should be intended to develop, then we are actually putting ourselves in that position ourselves. Okay? All right, so you gave them the written warning, didn't work. You gave them a final warning, didn't work. And what do we do next? Next thing is termination. Okay, so we talked about the communication, right? So we have talked to the employee, we gave them the communication, we provide them with the training, we discussed what kind of adjustment we can make. Maybe we should move the employee to a different position, a different spot in the processing process. We did all that and employee have not improved, right? That's when we, should all be happening before the corrective action steps do start. We want to make sure that we do everything we can to address this issue that we are seeing. We are not just saying you are not performing, right? We want to get in the bottom of the situation. Why is this employee not performing? What can we do to make sure that they do? Okay, and if it doesn't work or employee is not receiving that at those attempts, then we can start, okay, then it's not working, we're going to have to start corrective action. But all of those steps should be taken into consideration when we have an issue, especially when employee has been here for a while. If you know what they can do and they have done, and all of a sudden they're not performing or they're acting up, right? And why is it? What don't you want to know? Instead of just saying, well, sorry, I'm not working out, talk to the employee, find out, is perhaps the employee is going through some medical issues. Maybe they need to be placed on permanent medical leave, right? So if you were talking to the employee in the course of discussion, they're saying, boy, I'm dealing with some unexpected medical reasons. I'm going through some tough times with my mom. I'm going through some times with my son or my child. Those are important information, because in today's, and then it opens the door. What else can we do? What else can we offer? Are we able to offer the employee assistance program? Those are they having a hard time paying for a medical bill? Should we offer wage advance or place them on FMLA and have that discussion? Or maybe they need a reasonable accommodation for a period of time. And going back to attendance policy, I forgot to mention that is that anytime there isn't a discussion regarding medical condition, and even there's a reason for attendance, you should be bringing this up to HR generalist for discussion regarding FMLA. And if the employee is placed on FMLA, the days of absence will not count against them. Okay? Just so you know. I'm done. I'm going to have Heidi take over, and she will go over some of the examples on how to create a corrective action. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Elena. All right, so we're going to go over some, on your desk, there are 6 sheets showing you samples of what a corrective action should look like. It covers everything from attendance, code of ethics, performance, breaks, cell phones. We all love the cell phone, don't we? And your button. Okay, so a lot of times you're going to ask, how do you match discipline to a given offense? When do you start with a verbal warning? Can you justify starting with a final written warning? How do you link unrelated infractions so that your documentation of an employee's infractions are going to withstand legal scrutiny? We'll get into that more in the next section. It's a common discussion point that you guys have to deal with. It's, part of your daily, whether you're having that conversation that Elena talked about, or you're issuing a verbal, final written warning. Using a structured approach to addressing performance issues and maintaining high levels of accountability is essential. Because not only are you accountable to HR, your employees are accountable to you, right? So you want to make sure that that balance is maintained. So this next section is all based on learning that the skills of when, how, why am I doing corrective actions, okay? So it's crucial when leading a team that you provide structured approach to addressing performance issues and maintain a high level of accountability. When you implement corrective action, you're identifying specific problems, establishing clear expectations, and developing actionable plans that are going to rectify those issues. If an employee doesn't rectify that issue, what are the consequences? Maybe termination. Maybe suspension without pay. That's an option. Okay? So, when we get into the attendance issue, that's the most common corrective action you're going to deal with. That performance. Attendance. Okay, so you do the communication follow-up. Maybe the person has 3 or 4 attendance issues. They've been late 2 times, they called off 2 times. That was the time to have that conversation. Document it. Once you have that documented conversation, now we move on to the next time. And like Elaine said, it's very important that you progress immediately once the next occurrence has happened. So I've had the documented conversation. 2 weeks later, they call off again. Now it's time for a verbal warning. A week after that, they come in late. Now it's time for a written warning. 2 months later, they leave early. Now it's a final written warning. Yes, it was 2 months since the last one, but you're documenting the very next occurrence. Okay? And then once they have that last occurrence, that would be termination.
I have an observation for lateness. When an employee comes to you and says, I feel good, I want to go home. If you say yes, you approve it, it's not against the employee. So you have to say, I'm sorry to hear that. I cannot hold you here. You are free to make your decision, just let me know what you want to do.
Yeah, don't give permission for someone to be late, leave early. There are exceptions, weather related. If there is a late opening, early closing, obviously that's not on the employee, that's on us. And we'll get in later sections, we'll get into what we do in those situations, okay? Corrective action is the last step in the process. Having open and honest communication with your employees on an ongoing basis is the first step, okay? When you notice a performance issue, don't brush it under the rug, address it. And, it's a simple call in the office. Hey, I noticed you've been late a few times. Is there anything going on? Can we talk about this? What's happening? What do we need to do? If you see it happen again, then start the process. But have that conversation with the employee. Or, hey, I see you're not meeting your goals. You're having problems with hitting your numbers. What's going on? You were hitting them, now you're not, or we haven't been able to get you there yet. What do you think is the problem? Do we need to, what can we change? Things like that. With the exception of the communication follow-up. Now, the communication follow-up, you do not have to get HR approval before you issue a communication follow-up. That's just a documented conversation between you and your employee. Once you move into that verbal warning, that's where you need to come to HR. So when you write up the verbal warning, send it to us. We're going to approve it. We may offer some comments on corrections we feel are valid, or some missed information we feel needs to be included, and we'll ask for you to correct that and send it back to us. Once we approve it, that's when you issue it to the employee, either that day or their next scheduled shift. Now, if an issue happened more than 7 days ago, you cannot address it in a corrective action unless there was an investigation incorporated with that delay. So like, you're doing a video audit of something and you discover something else, and it was 2 weeks ago. Well, you just discovered it happened, so today's your start date. You're gonna report that to LP, to HR, go that process, and then we'll work on the corrective action. So it may be more than 7 days from incident, but it's not more than 7 days from when it was discovered. Okay, but like things like attendance, you can't, you know, someone called off 2 weeks ago, now you want to start a corrective action, not happen. Okay? So, a couple things. You know, have you worked with your employee to get to the root of the problem? With EAP, like Jillian said, maybe FMLA, things like that. So you want to have those discussions. Work together to solve the problems. Provide retraining or support. Maybe they're just not getting it, and they need to have some additional training. Not everyone learns the same way. So maybe you need to come up with an alternative method of training that individual that they're going to respond to. Document your communication with the employee. And if the employee hasn't improved, then we do move on to progressive corrective action. So we are going to do 2 scenarios. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes. What we're going to do is I'm going to hand out some scenarios. I'm going to have you just work, you're all in 2s, so work in your 2s, and I'll review the scenario as soon as we have them all passed.
You just keep. No, you're good. Are we doing one between 2 people?
No, 1 for 2. We're good. Okay, so there one should be one. It says on July 20th, and the other one says on May 16th. So make sure you have both.
I got the May 16th one.
I only have the 16th.
Are we all getting one of each?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if we run short, just share between the 2 of you. Does anyone need the 16th in the first 3 rows?
Two. One. I'm going to have you share, because it might be a little short on some of these.
Or 2.
I know, I saw it. You like that? And I've got a 16th to do here. We are at 16th. And that's the last one I have.
Are we supposed to do like May 16th before July, or it doesn't matter? I don't know.
Are you reading July 24th?
Yeah. All right, so the first one we're going to look at is the one dated May 16th. Sorry, I didn't use the mic. So, here's the scenario. We're going to give you, once I read the scenario, I'll give you a couple minutes. Discuss with your partner. What behaviors do you want to see from the employee going forward? And what are the consequences if they do not correct their behavior So, write the scenario, use some of the samples that I provided you as your guides. So the first scenario, on May 16th, you pushed a cart into another cart. This caused a safety issue and you did it in front of customers. On March 6th and April 14th, we talked about your outbursts and how to handle them. However, you did not follow through at this time. These outbursts cannot continue because you could do damage to equipment or hurt someone. You were sent home due to your outburst. So, the policy violation here is code of ethics or values. And then again, what behaviors do you want to see from the employee going forward? And what are the consequences if they do not correct their behavior? So we'll give you a couple minutes. I'm going to put a little timer on my phone. We'll give you 3 minutes to work through with your partner, and then we'll go over that.
I would say maybe like controlling their emotions.
Yeah, but my first question would be, you pushed the cart into another car. Did you do it on purpose out of anger, or did you just accidentally hit another car? I don't really specify that. I'm guessing it was out of anger since we're talking about outbursts. But I think I'd like want to see how it actually went down before anything, you know? But I mean, no, go ahead.
For consequences, maybe like if they don't improve, a write-up or a suspension.
Yeah. No, did we already give them a corrective action?
Yeah, they got sent home.
Oh, they got sent home. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, I'd first want to know like what the situation was, why the person pushed the cart into another cart in the first place. If it's an accident, that's, you know, that's not the same thing. But if it's like out of anger, then I don't know. It's the third time. That's like anger management or something at this point. Like, right? 3 strikes, you're out. That's how I look at it. And then if you sent them home, did we already, like, where are we at? Okay, we're at the corrective action. Yeah, they should have had the corrective action by the second time, I would think. Right? I mean, as far as what behaviors we want to see from the employee, I'd like them to not hit them carts with other carts, right? Don't flip out. But I don't know. I mean, if they got anger problems, they got to do something about that, or it's just not going to work, in my opinion.
The code of ethics.
Maybe let's start from the other one.
Huh?
We're just working the other one, or just?
No, I think we're just doing the one first, and then we're going to do the other one. I don't know. I feel like. Okay, let me look at the warning. So the corrective act is before the verbal warning, right? I'm still confused on what the difference is between a corrective action and a
Well, I think
written
corrective
warning.
action is the verbal, the written.
That's all part of the corrective action? Okay.
It may result in further discipline.
Okay, well in that case, I mean, do the written warning and contact whoever the generalist is. It's Heidi for me. But I feel like if you did, if it's a third time that you're, showing anger and exploding and outbursts and stuff, like.
Yeah, because I already did verbals the first 2 times.
Yeah, it's time for the written warning, and maybe you get one more try for the final warning, but I don't know. That's a lot of chances. Well, what happens if the employee gets pissed and ends up punching a customer or something, because that could happen. Or another employee, I feel like when it comes to violence, there's no, you shouldn't get 5 chances.
Okay? So, someone want to share from their team what you came up with for your answers to the scenario?
Well, we came up with a code of ethics.
Okay.
Right? And then we went with the correction action, right?
And what would be your corrective action that you would communicate to that employee?
First and final.
They're all part of it.
A first and final, okay? And what would be the verbiage of your corrective action? What would you say? What would you communicate to them about the behavior you want to see going forward?
Yeah, the behavior that you're displaying out on the floor in front of our customers is unacceptable. And not only, the customers are seeing this, you hurt someone, you could hurt one of our customers or someone else. So this is the first and final warning.
Okay. Right. So you could do a first and final in that situation. And you want to say, when you write the corrective action, so the top part is, what did they do? Then what policy did they violate? And then the corrective action is, what behavior do you want to see going forward? So one of the things you may write is, you must work safely at all times. Failure to work safely may lead to additional corrective action or up to and including termination. Okay? So those are some examples of what you would want. If it's an attendance issue, maybe you quote part of the attendance policy. One of the things I've given as examples, I think it's in that one for attendance, is you're allowed 5 UPT days per UPT plan year, UPTO plan year. If you exceed 5 days, that's going to result in corrective action. You must call off before the start of your shift or within the first hour of your shift. If you're going to be late or absent, you cannot speak with another associate, you must speak with a member of leadership, et cetera, et cetera. So you may want to use that kind of verbiage. Right? Always remember to have the statement in your corrective actions. Future incidents of this nature may, not will, may result in additional corrective action up to and including termination. Why may and not will? Does anyone know why I would emphasize that? It is a little bit of a thread. But what happens if I say will and then I don't follow up? Who's that on? You. Not the employee. Manager. Okay?
I have a question about, you said they have 5 what days?
So an employee, according to our handbook, an employee has 5 unplanned PTO days.
5 unplanned PTO days.
Per plan year for those who
Call
have
out 5
PTO.
times.
Right. And then
They can
those
call
who are
out 5
part-time
times.
use minor purposes.
Okay, so on my side, they don't have PTO days.
Heather, your employees would be different.
Okay,
So
yeah.
That policy might not fall because they're getting that health and welfare instead of the.
Letter, yeah, well, that's a letter for me now, I gotta learn because they're all.
Those, most of them are
what do I
part-time,
need?
yeah, most
Yeah.
of them are part-time employees, but the
Okay.
full-time employees, the policy will be the same for the
Full-time employees,
But the
okay.
employees will be the same.
Yeah. And for part-time employees who don't have PTO, we usually say 5 occurrences is what they're allowed because they don't get paid time off.
Right.
So, okay? Any other examples that you came up with? Go ahead.
I guess I'd want to understand the situation. Like, it just says someone pushed a cart into another cart. Was it done out of anger? Was it an accident? Like,
Right, and in this situation, it wasn't real detailed. So you would want to have that detail. So you pushed one cart into another and it hit a customer.
right,
Or you pushed a cart into another cart and it knocked over, it damaged items.
Right.
You would want to have that specific
right.
detail in your corrective action, exactly.
I just feel if it was an accident, that's
If it's
different.
accidental, you want to have that's where you have a conversation
Yeah.
with the person and go, hey, we saw this happen. Make sure you're being aware of your
Yeah,
surroundings
okay.
and that type of thing, right? But if you see that it's something out of anger or it causes damage or it's another person, it could be, an injury, that's where we want to.
Right, okay. That makes more sense.
I have an example from yesterday at one of our stores, and this employee was pushing a baler with an electrical pallet, but he was upset through the day. Now he's pushing that pallet a little bit in a bad mood, and then we have all the DSRs waiting for donations. They had a gator, so now he's pushing his gator, pushing that gator, and push the employee. Not on purpose, but the anger is there. So now we have, you look at the whole scenario, and that's when it escalates to, safety violation, severe safety violation. The person was upset, code of ethics. Are we going to escalate this to a third and final, or are we talking about possible terminations? Because now we have a possible near miss, someone was going to get hurt, or someone got hurt. Talk to us when that happens.
And absolutely. That's what the partnership between HR and leadership is all about. You know, if you have a scenario, email, call, say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'd like to do. Is this okay? Do you agree with what I'm saying? And we're going to direct you and guide you and make it, you know, if we think you're way off base, we're going to tell you. But if we think you're spot on, we're going to tell you that too. All right, we have one other scenario. Sorry, I keep forgetting these. My voice is probably going, but that's okay. So the second scenario we had the July 20th one. On July 20th, I received a phone call from a customer that you refused to give them correct change when you overcharged them. You said, I know how to give change when they brought it up to you. The customer indicated that she would not be coming back to shop at the store. You received warnings on January 7th and May 6th for similar issues. Go ahead and work on a corrective action that you would give to this individual. And I'm going to give you 3 minutes again.
I guess for this one, I've been wanting to know if they actually gave the right amount of change or not. But if there's 3 different occurrences, something don't smell right, you know?
Maybe don't give attitude.
Well, yeah.
More like,
yeah, the way you word it to the customer. Because if you're losing a customer out of it, you know, that's no good even if you did give the right change. You gotta get them to, you gotta be able to talk to people, you know. It seems to me like on this part, you know, this person's getting cocky immediately. I know how to get change, you know. Instead of saying like, you know, I don't even know how to word it, but you know, did I mess up? I'm sorry. Or can you double check and make sure that you were given the right amount of change? But if there's 2 other situations, it feels like the person has an attitude problem. Yeah.
what would we want to see going forward?
I say, yeah, I'm sorry.
What would we want to see going forward?
Obviously, make sure that the employee is giving the right change, but I think more importantly than that, be able to have a conversation with a customer to the point where they're not getting angry enough to not want to come and shop with us again. Mistakes can be made on either side, you know. Could be the customer's fault, but I don't necessarily think that the customer is always right, but they're more right than not right, you know, because if they feel otherwise, we lose them, and that's worse than anything, because then they're not coming back. I feel like, you know, definitely a corrective action, not like a final warning or anything, but maybe as managers, we would be watching that employee a little more just to see how they react with people in general. You know, because if he's being disrespectful to these occurrences, how many other times is he or she being disrespectful just in general? You know, that's how I would do the corrective action, not like a final warning or anything. You know,
I'd probably write them up.
Yeah, a write-up.
Already warned twice about it.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Write them up, but keep an eye on them too. You know, I guess. Can you ask other employees? Or is it wrong to ask other employees what their thoughts are on that person?
I mean, I don't think I would.
I feel like that's like a in a gray area, you know, because you don't want to bring up their business with other people. But I think you're right, you know.
You get into a real scenario where you're going to, and again, you're going to be working with your generalist when you're writing a real corrective action. So the first couple times, if you're not sure, give it your best shot. Send it over. We're going to make suggestions or corrections, send back to you with those suggestions and corrections, and until it feels right. So, who was an example? Go ahead.
I think we can send it to loss prevention and see what happened with that person, because it's not the first time they not give the correct change. So we can have the conversation first with that person and see what happened. If they don't know how to count, sometimes they for another country, they working with us, they don't know how to give it the change back. So
maybe have them write a statement. Yep, and maybe get LP involved, because maybe we have a theft, not just a code of ethics situation, but maybe we've got a theft situation going on here. Okay, that's great observation. What else?
You can pull up the cameras yourself and look.
You can look at the cameras yourself. The reason, why would we want to get LP involved?
Well, if we have access.
Yeah. So why would you want to get LP involved?
If the drawers are off.
If the drawer's off?
It just involves money.
We would want to do the LP investigation because they can save the video.
Right.
Okay? They can save the video, write up a scenario, a summary of what occurred, what they viewed on the security video, and then communicate that to you and ask them when you send in an LP report that involves something like cash handling or suspected theft or some kind of an employee violation, not when it's a customer, but just an employee violation, ask them to copy HR on that response. That gets us in the lid right away. Okay? So code of ethics, Pam, what would your communication, what would your corrective action look like? For this scenario?
Not that I necessarily deal with this,
right.
But he made a suggestion, first thing you do when you're having a situation is you get someone in leadership or management involved, and then your corrective action would say that due to your previous warnings about these incidents, we need to see, you can't see these with our customers. So it would be a code of ethics, and the behavior needs to be corrected going forward, or there may be a termination in that.
Right. So this would be a final written warning because they've already been corrected twice. So this would be that, and then, so you would want to, definitely say, you must treat all customers with respect at all times. Quite simple. And you can even put in there all internal and external customers, because aren't we each other's customers? Yes. Right. So you want to have that level of respect. And even if you want to get even more detailed in your policy violation, you could put in code of ethics / core values respect. Okay? Yeah.
Would this also be a performance issue as well?
It could be job performance. It could be cash handling. You could include all that. And when I get into the next, we're going to break for lunch here in a few minutes. But after lunch, I'm going to get into unemployment compensation. And you're going to see how the corrective action process ties into unemployment compensation. Yeah?
Is there ever a possibility to completely retrain somebody?
Absolutely. If you get into a situation where you think, well, maybe you're a new manager at a location, and you're having an issue with an employee, and you're just going, there's something not right here. Remove that employee from their task. Provide retraining to that individual. Provide them the coaching, the counseling, the opportunity to succeed. That's what we want. We don't want to terminate individuals. We don't want people to lose their jobs. We want to provide them with the opportunities to have a job and to be, where they can succeed. Did someone else have their hand raised? Yeah.
Wouldn't moving them to a different position be an option?
Could be. Maybe they're just not, maybe they're a word specialist and don't know about it. That happens. Maybe they'd be better off as a sales associate. Maybe they're great communicators and have a bubbly personality. That's someone who would fit really well in your sales floor. Maybe that's something you want to look at. Again, work with your generals, work with your RDDs, work with your store managers if you're not the store manager, and say, hey, this is the situation I'm coming up with. What do you think about doing this? If it's obvious insubordination, non-compliance, you can tell the employee's just not interested. Obviously, we're going to move through the process. But if you see someone who's eager, who comes in on time every day, who's there all the time, but they're just not getting the task at hand, yeah, maybe retraining, maybe a different position. We can always, that's always something we can work with. Okay? So there are some situations where, we're done. We're just done. So, could be violation of the employee client purchase policy. That could lead to an immediate termination. There are some scenarios, like Elena said, where we would do a first and final, but there are others that are, we're terminating. Theft, any kind of theft. Whether it's monetary theft, product theft, theft of time is a big one. So if you suspect that an employee is stealing time, okay? So what is stealing time? They're leaving the building at 2:55 and asking you to punch them out at 3 o'clock. Okay? That's theft of time. They just got paid for 5 minutes. They didn't do anything. So again, that would be an LP report in conjunction with reporting it to HR, and that would be immediate termination. Harassment, insubordination, those types of things may lead to immediate termination of employment. It may not. It may be someone thought they were being funny and said a joke without any intent to be harassing. So maybe some training. We do have an online anti-harassment, non-discrimination training that we may need to have that individual go through. Inappropriate use of a forklift or any other equipment. Not following the checklist for forklift or other equipment. That pertains to your DSRs, your warehouse workers. Any safety violation that could result in injury. Those are things that are pretty serious. We're probably going to move forward with termination, if not suspension, first. Again, don't forget to reach out to your generalist on, what the next appropriate action to be taken should be. Documentation, documentation, documentation. If it isn't written down, it didn't happen. Okay? So, you have a conversation with an employee, send yourself an email afterwards. I talked to Jade Smith on Tuesday, September 23rd, about da-da-da-da-da. Just serious yourself. It's not something that'll go in their file, but it's something you can communicate that, you know what, I did have this conversation, I did have a conversation, then I had a communication follow-up. It may be relevant down the road, okay? Don't wait until the behavior gets out of hand to address it. The longer you wait, the worse it's gonna be. Verbal, and again, discipline should be progressive. So communication follow-up, verbal warning, written warning, final written warning, termination. Again, steps can be skipped if needed, if the violation is serious enough. Things you want to include on all corrective actions: dates, details, the coaching, that's the communicating, that's the corrective action part at the bottom. Any retraining you've already offered. Make sure you're using that communication follow-up form. Document any previous corrective actions. So if it's an ongoing attendance issue or a performance issue, when did you previously document? Make sure you're writing that at the top in those date sections. What do you want to see moving forward? What behaviors do you want to see the employee exhibit? Make sure when you sit down that you are having a respectful conversation with the employee. Describe the reason for the warning. Tell them what policy they broke, and then have that conversation. This is what I want to see moving forward. Employees should be asked if they would like to make any remarks and ask them to sign the warning. Signing the warning does not mean they agree with it. Okay? It's just an acknowledgement that they received the warning. Okay.
What if they refuse to sign?
If they refuse to sign, you write in their signature, employee refused to sign, initial it, and date it. Okay? Employees are never to be terminated without first consulting with HR. Now, someone does a 3-day no-call, no-show, a voluntary termination, that's fine. But an involuntary termination has to be approved by HR first. If you can't reach one of us, call Melissa, call Dawn. That's what they're there for. If the situation or violation warrants it, the employee may be placed on leave pending an investigation. Like if it's a serious offense, if you think, you just caught someone stealing $50 out of the cash register, send them home. Send them home, tell them you will hear from HR, whether via phone or letter, pending the investigation. Maybe call HR first, say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And we'll say, yep, go ahead. All right? Always speak with the employee with dignity and respect. Again, unless the severity of the incident dictates severe discipline, don't skip steps. Don't speak to the employee out in the open. This is a confidential conversation that happens in the office. A final warning is just that. Final. Once you give a final warning, you can't backtrack on your steps. Okay?
I got a question.
Yeah.
If you have the conversation at the office with the employee, and that employee go outside and tell everybody.
That's their business. You cannot control that. You can recommend that they keep it confidential, but that is their business. You cannot stop them. You cannot, or any other member of leadership cannot comment on any discipline presented to an employee. A termination should never be a surprise for an employee. So if you've gone through all the progressive steps of corrective action, termination is the ultimate conclusion of that. It shouldn't be a surprise to them. Now, if it's a once and done type situation, they should still kind of know that what they did was serious enough that it's leading to termination. But yeah, you should have had those communications, those warnings, all of that. And not only are we impacting business, but we're doing a disservice to our employees if we ignore behaviors that are unacceptable in the workplace. Okay. We are going to break here for lunch. Before we break, does anyone have any questions about what I've gone over in this section? Yes?
Is there a certain time frame between warnings? Like, is it like a 6 month or that we look back on for a same offense?
Generally, so like, let's say someone has a verbal warning for attendance, and they have no attendance occurrences for the next 6 months. Generally, we'll recommend start with the verbal again. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you go 6 months, now if it was something that was a first and final, there's, unless it's been years since that first and final was issued, we're probably not, we're continuing with that if there's another incident of that nature.
And with the warnings, do you need so many verbals to take over into a written?
One of each. So it's communication follow-up, verbal warning, written warning, final written warning, termination.
And that's per incident?
Per incident, correct. Again, steps need to be skipped for the severity. Okay. Yeah.
I just have a quick question about UPTO. If I've heard different things from different people, they said, okay, it's date of when it happens and then it falls off because you only have 5 days to use, or is it like a January to January, 5 days?
Goes on their hire date if they are full-time.
Okay.
Because your PTO refreshes on your hire date. Now, if their PTO date got moved because of FMLA or something like that, it goes on their PTO refresh date. So, if let's say I have, a written warning for attendance, and I don't have any occurrences. 6 months have passed, and now I've hit my new refresh year. I get another 5 days. Now, that may change with the point system, but we're not there yet. That's the current policy. Future policy is going to be a little different. Okay? Anything else? Thanks. Enjoy your lunch. We're going to get back here. It's what, 10 after? About 20 up. 20. We'll give you half hour for lunch. Anyway.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, I thought you had a question. Okay.